I remember I got there at 16, man, and he told me, "All right, kid, at 20 years old, I'm gonna get you a try, all right?" I was like, and I was like, cool, And he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to like put his whole trust into me at a 16-year-old kid and tell him that. But he did. And then when I got to that age, I got a WWE try. He threw me out there. He knew that I was able to go out there and kind of deliver. So he did. He gave me an invitation to the performance center.
What up, everybody? It's Kyle, and you are back watching Knockouts and 3 Counts. And like we had promised, we are going to be joined by Intocable Gino Medina. You've been seeing him doing his thing on Major League Wrestling. You saw him do his thing against past guests of the show, Isaiah Broner, at Pele Pro Wrestling in Texas when we were down there, which you can check out in our vlog. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any of the great action that we're bringing you from Knockouts and 3 Counts. But Corey, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. One thing I do want to start this episode with, since we kind of all got the unfortunate news earlier this morning, if for those of you who are entrenched in sports as I am, I've grown up with the name Tiger Woods being heard my whole life, and I just want to put it out there that I hope everything's all right on his end. From what I'm hearing, he's awake and conscious and everything, but he's got compounding fractures in both his legs, so we're looking at a pretty serious injury. Probably career ending, I would imagine.
Hey, man, don't you say that.
I hope not.
Hey, don't you be Debbie Downer over here, motherfucker.
Hey,
prayers out to Tiger Woods, man. We hope that he comes out of this okay. I mean, good God, I saw the pictures of the accident. Good God.
Yeah.
And to think that he was still awake. They said he was still conscious.
That's what I'm saying.
So you went through the whole thing and you were still alive, dude. Not alive, but you know what I mean? Like you still were, you were feeling it, dude.
Yeah, like you said, and feeling it. I can imagine the adrenaline was pumping in the beginning, and then once he kind of assessed the situation after realizing he was still there, he went, I imagine, went to go check and make sure everything was still connected essentially, and probably realized the extent of the injury on his legs. So I wish the best for him and his family. Really, honestly, all of the golf world, because the sport of golf has always kind of struggled to find a star outside of Tiger Woods. And if they take a big hit like this, I mean, that's but I wish Tiger Woods and all of his family and associates the best.
Yeah, man. We've been joined by the man himself, Gino Medina. We were just talking about Tiger Woods, man. Did you see what happened to Tiger Woods?
I saw that. I didn't know what actually happened. What happened to him?
So he got in a bad car accident and broke both his legs.
I saw that. I saw that. I just wasn't sure what actually happened to him. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I wish it was just a simple break. It's compounding fractures, and for anybody that knows any extent of injuries, that means it's broken in multiple spots and kind of spiraled up essentially. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I hope the best for him. That's what I was saying before you hopped on, is that hopefully it's not a career ending, but if it is, either way, best of luck to him and his family.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm pretty sure he has like the resources to kind of get a good doctor and a surgery and whatnot. Because you guys saw what happened to Kevin Hart. What happened to Kevin Hart too? He had a really bad accident, and now he's doing great. So hopefully the same thing happens to him.
Yeah, good point.
The craziest thing, when we were just talking about it, is the crazy thing is they said he was conscious. Like they said he never lost consciousness through it. So like, dude, like I know I went through a nasty car accident where we rolled like 5 times into a ditch and we all came out good. But like, dude, to have that and get busted up like that and still be to still be conscious with it, that's wild.
Very wild, man. I mean, props to him for being able to, sustain all that pain, man.
Right.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. But enough about Tiger Woods. Hopefully everything comes out all right with him. Let's talk about you for a second. First of all, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and all that kind of good stuff.
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at TLHT. If you forget, it stands for the Latin Heartthrob. All right. You can find me on there on Twitter, Instagram, maybe even Facebook. I don't know. I don't know if I still have a Facebook, but yeah, you guys can find me there.
I feel like that's kind of the common thread nowadays is either people have it or they don't. And it's like a real fine wall of the people that still do, man. I feel like that number is dwindling down day by day.
I mean, Facebook is all right. Well, sometimes when I get on there, I just go to look at the memes and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, if there's one thing Facebook's always good for, if you scroll long enough, you're going to find some shit that's just like, what? Like, what? Wait a minute. Like, I don't know. Sometimes the internet is undefeated. I'm just saying. But
I love the internet.
That's a first. Most people, you never hear people saying they love the internet.
Hey, I just like the memes, man. I just like the memes that the internet gives us. So anything happens, anything really bad happens, and like in like 5 minutes you'll have a meme about it, and I'm just like, okay, cool, you know.
Kind of like somebody's hole and shit.
Yeah. Now, being somebody who has the media spotlight and stuff and has the attention, you know, the spotlight pointed towards you at times, does that affect you ever with social media and the way that you, I guess, present yourself and stuff like that?
Not really, because I don't know. I feel like everybody's just gonna have something to say, regardless what you do, you know. So you just gotta kind of throw yourself out there, and like you know, people are gonna react to it the way like either positive or negative. You know, you can't really control that. There's so many people out there that you can't control how everybody's gonna feel. So for me, I kind of just if I'm gonna share something or whatnot, I do think about it sometimes. I'm like, oh, is this gonna get me canceled? You know, stuff like that.
You got to nowadays,
like that,
man.
like, yeah. Especially with like tweets and stuff that you tweet, you gotta be really careful now because you just never know what like somebody's gonna take something the whole opposite way of what you meant and then just turn it on you. You know, I'm not defending anybody that got canceled or anything or whatnot. I'm just saying it's like little stuff like that happens. Yeah.
I know it's bad you even have to clarify that, but if you don't, somebody's going to be like, well, he was talking about Bob from last week who did this, that, and the other. So it's like nowadays you got to be almost extra safe. That's kind of why I asked, is you almost have to be, you know, extra safe to not necessarily protect your image, but to show who you are without people misrepresenting you. I feel like it's so easy to be misrepresented in today's social outlet, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I have a rule. Like, if I gotta think about it, like if I have to like think about posting something more than like 5 minutes, I probably shouldn't be posting it. You know, because I'm just like, oh yeah, not a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good rule of thumb, and I mean that's a perfect way to lead into another question I had. You know, in doing my research before we were bringing you on, you know, it's no secret that you're a second generation star yourself, man. So you know, you grew up in wrestling. So tell me, does that make it a little bit easier for you, you know, kind of navigating the waters, or do you think it brings any more pressure because people are looking at you because of your pops?
Yeah, it does bring a lot of pressure to me, especially from like the lucha libre community, because you know, a lot of that community, the same, you know, with the, you know, I guess like the American side of community, they take wrestling very, very serious, you know. So they see somebody like my dad that you know has such a nice legacy over there in Mexico, and they expect me to kind of like go along with it, or you know what I mean. A lot of people expect me to like go by his name and wear his mask and do the same gimmick that he did and whatnot. But like that's just not me, you know. A lot of people ask me like, "Oh, when are you gonna be like the junior, the Sanguinario Junior, or something like that?" But I'm just like, that's not really for me. You know, my dad did is what he did, and what I'm just trying to do, I'm just trying to continue that legacy. Just trying to, you know, have people like you guys still bring them up and whatnot, you know, and stuff like that. But to me, I'm just trying to make my own little route, my own little road.
And from what it seems like you're also trying to do it in a respectful way. Like, hey, I'm not trying to like put what he's done down or by any means. It's just that I want to build up, like you were saying, on your own footing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm all about. Like I tried doing this gimmick, you know, once I had like the whole mask and like the whole outfit, a cape, theme song and everything. Just because the promoter really insisted, was like, oh, why don't you try your dad's name one night? I'm like, oh, I don't know, and then I kind of just went for it once. I tried it out, but it just really wasn't me. And that's what I try to do with my pro wrestling. I try to kind of give you guys what Gino is, what the person me really is. And I feel like that's where you kind of differentiate yourself a lot from other people. Just make yourself different that way. But I feel like if you're constantly trying to be like somebody else or be someone that you're not, people can see right through that, man. And that's, like I said, that's something that I try to stay away from.
Well, you're out there as an entertainer, right? So if you're trying to be an entertainer looking at something through a filter of what you think somebody would think about it, compared to doing and entertaining in the way that you find entertaining, is two completely different things. So I completely agree with the outlook that you took on it myself.
Yeah, man, and I kind of learned that from Booker T, because he was kind of like
Best
he would
guest
always
of the
tell us
show.
he would always tell us like, hey, this is the way that I do it. I'm not telling you this is the right way. I'm not telling you, hey, this is the only way to do it. But I'm letting you guys know that this is the way that I do it. And that kind of stuck with me, because stuff is gonna work for some people, and some of the stuff is not gonna work for some other people. You just gotta find what works for you.
So, and for those who don't know, his father was part of the group Gringos Locos with Conan and Eddie Guerrero, man. So, I mean, that's a hell of a group to be part of. And I mean, I asked that question because, it's the same thing when we talked to Miranda Gordy. We talked to her about having her pops, having the legacy that he had,
Yeah.
and it's always a different dynamic because, I mean, you already have eyes on you regardless as soon as you come in there. So it's hard for there not to be a pressure in it. But speaking of dealing with the pressure, man, you had quite the match when we got to meet you down there in Texas against one of our boys, our homie from here in Detroit, the 7 Mile Destroyer, Isaiah Broner. So tell me your thoughts on that match and Pele Pro and that whole show, because you guys got a little taste of what we usually get up here in Michigan, down there in Texas.
Oh, it was a lot of fun to get to work him and whatnot. But to me, that was very fun, like working somebody that's not from around here, somebody new, because you kind of just you learn it's like a different dynamic and whatnot. Something very new, something that we don't get here in Texas much, because a lot of Texas guys just kind of run in the same little scene. So it's pretty cool when somebody from up north comes over here and just get to in there and go in there and wrestle and whatnot. But we also had a pretty fun match. We went a little back and forth and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I had to beat him, bro. I'm sorry, I beat your boy.
Hey,
But it
man.
was,
It's funny you bring up that point too, because he actually brought that up himself when we had him on the show. Was he was kind of not getting stagnant, because that's not necessarily the right word, but he was doing the same thing with the Michigan circuit. He said he was
yeah,
doing the revolving door of different promotions and wasn't necessarily happy with the direction it was taking him. So that's where he then has taken himself to travel to places like Texas and so on and so forth, to be able to get eyes on different matches and even get in there with other people, like you were saying, to get the different looks and get the different options and play the field. So
yeah,
it's
man.
funny how even you guys were the opponents to each other, but yet bring up essentially the same point.
Yeah, man, and I feel like that's why we had such a fun match, because we were both very hungry. We're both very hungry to learn off other people and do this and then do that. It's just because in wrestling you just gotta have a very open mind. And sometimes people don't do that. So when you wrestle somebody like that, somebody that's from somewhere else, you gotta have a very open mind on where what you guys are gonna do out there and whatnot. Like I said, the dynamics that was very different. To me, that's what's fun. The dynamic to me is fun. Getting to work, bigger guys sometimes it's gonna be different than working like a smaller guy, or getting somebody that's a little bit closer to my, to my body shape or whatnot. It's gonna be a lot different than working somebody, something like a girl. I even like working with girls sometimes, because it's just a different dynamic. And it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, man, and it's also constantly learning off other people. Working somebody that's better than you. Uh, I don't mean to say that I'm better than him, but I'm saying that I've had more experience than him. So
Right.
I'm pretty sure we kind of had a pretty cool dynamic that way, from him kind of trying to learn off me and me learning off him, because I'm always learning. Which is somebody like that just started, or somebody that's been in business like a long time. You're constantly learning and wrestling, and to me, that's a lot of fun.
I mean, if you're not learning and improving on your skills, you're losing your skills. So that's what you got to do out there.
Definitely, definitely.
So talking about those skills have taken you and your talents to Major League Wrestling. Okay, when we saw you come in there, we saw you in there with the likes of MJF, who you can see our interview with MJF up there in the top right corner. But
Okay.
you know, MJF and Richard Holiday and Hammerstone, and if you've been paying attention to MLW, which I don't know why the hell you're not, because you guys have got one of the most, I would say, entertaining and different products, I would say, in wrestling right now. But my question was going to be, you know, with you splitting from Dynasty, tell me what made you want to split with them. And if anything, you talk about learning. Did you learn anything from your time in Dynasty?
Of course, man. Of course, they taught me the ropes when I first got there, you know, and it was a lot of fun at first. At first, it was a lot of fun, you know, because you know I got there and you know I kind of had it made. You know, I was up there with the top dogs, you know, Alexander Hammerstone and Richard Holiday, you know, and of course MJF. But you know, slowly after MJF left, you know, these guys just talked about coffee and tanning and all this lame stuff. But I was trying to talk about the mamacitas, you know. I wanted the mamacitas. MJF had the mamacitas, but as soon as he left, the mamacitas were gone. So you know, that's when I was like, yeah, that's when I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to stick around with you guys. But if you ask Richard, he said he fired me, but I quit, man. I quit because there was no more mamacitas and there was no more learning. What was I gonna learn off them? You know, I was with them for a little bit, and I was like, you know, it's like if you have a girlfriend, you know, you're with her for a while. After a while, it gets a little boring, and you just have to like dump her away, you know.
Yeah.
Be gone,
Be
bro. I
gone.
see you over here. Hey man, I ain't mad at you. You gotta do what you gotta do. But now that you're out on your own, man, I mean, what's the next move? Are you trying to take Holiday down first, or are you you know, you already setting your sights on some gold over there?
Well, for me, all my whole career, all I've wanted is gold, man. Everywhere I go, I win gold everywhere. So to me, that's always my main goal: getting some gold, getting some championships. You know, which is I don't know if it's going to be the middleweight championship, it's going to be the Fatu's championship. You never know. But Holiday keeps, you know, I don't know why. Have you seen that? Have you heard that song? Right, the Mariah Carey song. Why you so obsessed with me? Yeah, man. This guy tweets me. This guy DMs me. This guy sometimes he even calls me or texts me just random stuff. He just constantly wants to be on me for some reason. And honestly, I'm over the dynasty, but it seems that the dynasty's not over me, man. So if I gotta beat up Holiday a little more, I'm up for it, man. I'm up for it, and then probably celebrate with some mamacitas later.
Hey man, I ain't mad at you. So that leads me to a good question. And what up, Justin? I see you in the comments. All you guys watching, I appreciate you. Um, my question is, who was it for you when you were coming up? Obviously, your pops was a big influence on you, but when you were coming up, who were some of the guys that you like to watch? I have a feeling Eddie Guerrero might be one of them. But
Man, everybody thinks that, but my favorite wrestler of all time, man, it's Edge. Edge,
I
man.
ain't mad at it.
I've been an edge head since I was young, man. Since I was like probably like in like high school, middle school. I've always loved Edge, man. That was like the guy for me. I was like, okay, this guy's cool. You know, he had the mamacita on his side. He had the championship. You know, he was just out here, you know, going through tables. You know, going through burning tables. You know, doing the most. So I was always a big fan of Edge, man. To me, like um I don't know. There was just a connection. You know, he does all the little things that I like. I guess it's not even about the moves or like whatever. It's just like the little stuff that he does in the ring. It just kind of makes me really invested towards everything that he does. You know, then seeing him
It's
come
just
back
his
out,
vibe.
yeah, man. But then just seeing him come back and seeing like everybody be super like into him, I'm like, I've been telling you guys that Edge is the guy, you know. But yeah, and it was also pretty cool because when he came back, at the Royal Rumble. I was actually here for that, and it was pretty cool to experience that live and seeing everybody kind of just go crazy. What for him to like come back, out of retirement, for something that was like pretty serious, his neck, I was pretty messed up.
And that
But
was like the last big crowd that we were able to experience before COVID. Like,
yeah, man.
Like with them
Yeah,
being
man.
the big four, you didn't have. I mean, that was the last big stadium show, before
Yeah,
everything shut down.
and we didn't even know it. We didn't even appreciate it, huh?
That's insane.
But
So talk about appreciating it. Well, then what are your thoughts about all the people that have been hating on the whole Edge winning the Rumble and getting the title shot against Reigns, man? I feel like I've seen a lot of people bitching about Edge getting the title shot, but I'm over here like, dude, I grew up loving Edge, so I'm like, man, shut the hell up.
like I said at the beginning of the interview, man, people are gonna be mad whether you do something they like or you don't, because there's always gonna be
Facts.
people, with an opinion, especially wrestling fans. I love them, but I hate them because they're constantly trying to, find a reason to be mad. It's like the whole Bad Bunny situation. They're mad because this rapper that loves professional wrestling came into their world. And this just doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, why are you mad about that? Just let it be. At least it's not Snooki again. but
Oh my gosh, dude, it's crazy, right? Because like the show's been around 4 years at this point, or no, hell, shit, 4 years, yeah, 4 years at this point. So it's crazy. The farther we've gotten into this, and like the more we've gotten to interview guys and talk to different people, it's insane how like you don't watch wrestling the same anymore, and then like so you see the way fans react and stuff, and you're just like, dude, I just don't understand. Like, dude, like, what do you it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And then some of the things you see people complain about, it's like the very thing that they ask for will be the thing that they bitch about.
Well, it's kind of like the quintessential, like, if you're not getting love or hate, you're not getting any attention at all, and that would be the real problem. So you got to at least draw the love or the hate, one or the other. But I think it kind of boils down. I think it kind of boils down to what we were saying a couple weeks back, Kyle, when we were actually discussing the topic. It's kind of, I think, not to put Edge into the same category as the older veteran guys, but
well, he is the older veteran guys.
Well, that's what but he's on a revamp of his career and stuff like that, so it's a little bit different. He hasn't been active the whole time and stuff like that. But that being said, I think that's part of the reason why people are complaining so much, is they're just sick of seeing all these big shine spots go to veteran names who already have their name built up.
Sure,
I go to somebody.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that, except here's the thing, though. Those are also the same people that are always complaining that they want to see more story in wrestling, right? What better story can you get? The dude broke his neck when he won the world title, went out winning the world title, comes back 11 years later, wins the fucking Royal Rumble, and might win the title again. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like you want story. I mean, I feel like that's about as good a story as you're going to get right now.
Just and it's a real story too.
Facts.
So yeah, and like you, there's nothing to like. You don't have to work to invest people into it, because this is people already invested. People already know that this is true. People know that he had to retire, because his neck was messed up and whatnot. So people already know the story, and so it's such an easy story to tell. So why not do it? But like I said, wrestling fans are gonna be mad either way. So let's have Edge in the main event, but I love wrestling fans. I love them because they're very passionate. And, I'm the same way with wrestling. I'm very passionate. Stuff makes me mad all the time. I'm like, oh man, like I wish, whatever. But, I love the wrestling fans because how passionate they are, how much they respect wrestling, It's pretty nice to see. But, they just gotta calm down sometimes.
Man, I couldn't agree more, because especially now that like we've began to like travel to different events and things like that. Oh my God. I talk about this all the time. So I'll never forget, we went to StarCast and went and worked StarCast 3. And that was like the first big thing that we really got to do. And we go in there, and I go to get my press pass. and this dude walks in behind me and's got like a Young Bucks like cut off shirt like they're wearing to the ring and Zubaz on and shit. And I'm like, and you wonder why they don't want to give any of us access to shit. Like, you wonder why. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy, but hey, it is what it is. But let's take it. Go
real
ahead.
Quick. I want to, since we were just on the whole point of and topic of fans and stuff like that. I guess I should start this question with, we also cover MMA. If you haven't been following the show or watched the show in the past, we also kind of do a half and half blend. Did you happen to catch the fight night, Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades over the last weekend?
I did not, man, because I actually had a show, and the show ended up like ending super late. When was it? Yeah, the show ended up super late, and I had to go to like Laredo the next day, which is like 5 hours away from me, so I didn't get to watch it. Oh man, how did it go?
Dude, Derek Lewis knocked him the fuck out. And my first time on FanDuel, let's go. I bet on knockout and for him to win. Let's go.
I did see some of that. I was kind of upset I didn't get to watch it, but yeah, man, I saw he got knocked out. I was like, oh,
yeah,
poor guy.
Well, it was a bad knockout, right? I mean, everybody who did see it, seen him go stiff, and even the people who didn't necessarily get to tune in, like you said, kind of got to see the highlights, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And one of the shit fans, I'll just say it the way it is, went out there, got Curtis Blades' phone number, started FaceTiming him and shit, talking about, you got knocked the fuck out, yada yada. And that's the type of shit that just drives you nuts, man. You see that in the fan base in both wrestling and in MMA, where it's like these fans just don't know how to control their mouth, man. Like they don't know how to like separate the character from the person, I guess, and like realize that people do take this stuff serious. So like when you're just suffered a knockout, man, like that's to be trying to call somebody and do that to somebody after suffering a serious concussive blow like that. That's just low, man. And you see it, like I say, you see it on both ends with fans, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but think about it though. That guy, like, I knocked out. He worked for that. He trained for that. He got paid for that. You know, he got paid
Very
for that.
true.
And the guy that called him didn't. So who's the real loser here? You know, if you really think about it. So yeah, man, you're constantly gonna have people, trying to talk bad on you and whatnot. I tweeted something out recently. I forgot what it was. It was like an Eminem song. And he was like, my talent. I mean, your talent is to critique my talent. And I was like, oh, that's very true, because there's a lot of people that just do that. They just go online and start critiquing people about their talent that they're doing out there. But if you think about it, I'm like, oh, what's really your talent? What you doing? Like, you're talking about me. That's how you get those views, which is crazy. But that's the world we live in, right?
Dude, we see it all the time, even on a much smaller level, but like with what we're doing with the show, man, like, because I'm still working full time at the post office, man. Like, this shit isn't like, like we ain't Sam Roberts out here and shit yet. So it's like, man, like, people are like, oh, dude, you're traveling to do all this, that, and the other, but then you'll show up at like doing what we did in Texas, or go do, go to StarCast or whatever, or we're gonna be at AEW Revolution coming up. So it's like, like, we're out here going and doing shit. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, even if nothing comes out of it, even if I go there and do nothing more than see the show and that's it. So the hell what? I mean, it's better than sitting at the crib. I mean, I feel like all of us with this pandemic, man, I feel like that's all you've really been able to do. I mean, that brings up a good point. So with you being in Texas, man, you guys have got a lot more availability to be able to wrestle right now, like with the indies and stuff.
Yeah.
So how beneficial has that been for you? Because I know so many guys up here in the Midwest, I mean, with the way things have been with shutdowns and not being able to have fans and running shows without fans and all that kind of stuff, like, how much of a benefit has it been for you to be able to keep, doing your thing all during the pandemic?
It's been really nice, and I've been very blessed to still be able to wrestle as much as I have. But it is a little scary, because you just never know. I've had a couple of scares, well, a couple of months ago where it was like, oh, somebody in the locker room had it and had corona or whatnot and have to like go get tested, ASAP. But I get tested as much as I can. I try to get tested like every time I have a show, I get tested, right away when I come back, and I'll try to quarantine after that and try to get tested again, just to make sure. So that does come into play, constantly having in the back of your head, having in the back of your head that you're gonna might catch COVID or whatnot. But if you can get that, not think about that and just kind of still go on the grind. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun because I think about it and I think about the Stan, that messaged me, and he was like, yeah, through this whole pandemic, man, I've been like very depressed, and like this happened and this happened to me, I haven't been able to get out of my house, but I got to go to one of your matches, and that kind of made my whole like year a lot better. Just being able to go out there and kind of
That's dope.
yeah, man. And to me, that's just kind of like, well, I mean, of course, I love wrestling, but to me, that's my reason to wrestle. Because sometimes you forget about that. You forget about how much people you do touch. Because we go back into what we were talking about earlier. All those people that are hating, but there's also a lot of fans that you do make an impact on. There's people that are battling with depression or battling with like I don't know any problems they got at home. There's probably a kid at home that doesn't have anything to eat, but they can probably watch wrestling. And I'm sure that just gets them going and whatnot. So it's very fun to be able to do that through these tough times, to be able to wrestle, in front of people and making them forget about, what's going on in the real world right now for, for like an hour or two. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun to be able to be able to do that for people right now when it's such a rough time in the world, to be able to entertain them. Because even before like the pandemic, people didn't consider entertainment being like this important. Being what's the word that I'm looking for? Being essential, being
Yep.
essential. And it is, because people rely on entertainment. People have to work. People have to go through all these life problems and whatnot. And the only thing they got is like entertainment, man. Some people kind of turn that off by listening to music, watching a movie, watching the show. But some people choose wrestling, and I'm sure all of us in this chat right now we choose wrestling, most of the time. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that, man.
I completely agree, man. Like those who have been following the show for a while and know a little bit about my background. I mean, I work with kids with disabilities and things. That's something that I've always been real passionate about myself. So like anything you can do to like leave an impact. I mean, and that's one of the biggest things. Like you're realizing, you being so young and being able to realize the impact that your platform can have, even though you're a veteran in the business, being in the business as long as you have, you're still only what, 22 still?
25 actually. Just
Okay, I
turned
misread.
25.
Okay, that's a great internet
Oh,
for
you're
me.
good.
Great
You're good,
internet.
man.
But either way, 25 is still young, man.
Yes.
So it's like you still have a long ways to go. Who knows where the next step for you is, whether that's AEW, WWE, wherever you end up next, man. It's crazy because even with MLW, man, you got the likes of Filthy Tom Lawler and all kinds of names there as well. And for you to be a guy who's willing to use his platform to try to help somebody else, I mean, we need a lot more of that in 2021 with the way 2021 did a number on everybody.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I just believe that if you're constantly, I don't know, if you're not like selfish about anything that you do, I feel like a lot of good things will come to you. So I'm constantly in that mindset, man. I'm just constantly trying to like help people and whatnot. Even in just wrestling, I've been very blessed to be able to be one of the trainers at Booker T school down here in Houston. And to me, like what I like, I just like helping people, being able to accomplish their dream, their lifelong dream of being a pro wrestler, and me being able to help them with that. That just makes me like happy, man. Because I was that kid at some point where like I was just trying to find a wrestling school and just wanted to be a wrestler, and then seeing all these people come into a Booker school, with that same dream, and me be able to help them with that. It just, I just know I'm making an impact, not just on like fans, but just in the wrestling business in general.
Now, being a coach, essentially, like you're saying yourself, how much do you think that has helped your development? Being younger guy, but I'm assuming you got quite a few people coming in there that are, a couple 5-10 years older than you, and you're in there teaching them. Like how does that help your development and not like widen your
How does teaching
trick
help?
book, I guess you could say,
Yeah, it's helped me out a lot, man. Just because it's made me a better wrestler. Because I get to like basically break down every part of a move. Whatever
Mhm.
move it is, I get to like break it down to people like constantly, and weekly. And being able to do that, and then being able to go out there and perform, and doing that like without really noticing, but noticing that you're getting very technical when it comes to like all these moves because I constantly work on them. That helps me out a lot. That and just being able to kind of learn on how like people learn very differently. People learn stuff very differently. So it's pretty interesting to me, like kind of being able to see that and seeing how people catch stuff differently. Because I'll have to show something to somebody once, and they'll get it right away. But sometimes I have to break it down like a whole different way for somebody else, and it'll take them a little more to kind of catch on to it. But when they do, man, that little little bright little light that they get on their
The
eyes, man,
light
I,
bulb,
I
yeah.
just yeah, man, I just like to me that like I say, that's what gets me. That's what makes me happy. So like being able to teach them and whatnot helped me out a lot, man. And then just being able to have that trust with Booker T from letting them like like teach a school at it. Started teaching in school like around 22, man. So me being that young and then Booker having that confidence, I mean, this it definitely makes me a better wrestler because it kind of gives me that confidence to go out there and be like, hey, Booker T lets me train at school, you know. So
That must
yeah.
that
What was
must have
that?
been that must have been a huge confidence boost. I could imagine just getting that stamp of approval. I could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, man, because I get to take that everywhere I go, and then sometimes like I'll go off and wrestle somewhere, and then somebody will know somebody that I trained, and just that, just being able to like people talk about me and people saying, like, oh yeah, Gino helped me with this, Gino helped me with that. It was just like I said, that's what makes me happy, being able to get back to the pro wrestling business.
That's crazy too, because for those who don't know, Booker and his brother Stevie are both past guests of this show as well.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, we just actually had Stevie on a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
Okay.
we just talked to him a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Steve Joyner for helping put that
Shout
together and
out
all
to
that good
Stevie.
stuff. Hey man, it was funny, man. We got down, we talked about fights, we talked about the Super Bowl, we talked about all kinds of things. So you definitely got to check that one out. But
I
that leads
definitely
me
will.
into a question I had for you. So you mentioned, the honor that it is to be teaching at Booker T's school. Tell me a little bit about, that relationship and how how much has that benefited you, most in your wrestling career?
As in like training with Booker or like
No,
what?
I mean, as far as like you're training with him, like, is there anything in specific that you've pulled from him? A and B, what does it mean for you as far as getting to have a relationship like that? Because I just feel like the wisdom that's going to come down from Booker is got to be insane.
Of course, man. Like I've learned a lot from him. I got to Booker's when I was like around 16, so it's almost getting to like 10 years, man. So in those 9 years, I've learned a lot. Just because he's very instrumental in like anything that I do, man. Like because he's taught me how to like I don't know, just be over the top with everything that I do. We all seen him. You know how over the top he is.
Mhm.
So I've learned that a lot from him, and then just little like life stuff. Because unfortunately, my dad passed away, and I was very young. So having him kind of like as a father figure type thing, it's kind of helped me out a lot. Because he definitely gives me something really good to look up to. And anything that he's ever told me, like I remember I got there at 16, man, and he told me, "All right, kid, at 20 years old, I'm gonna get you a try, all right?" I was like, and I was like, cool, And he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to put his whole trust into me at a 16-year-old kid and tell him that. But he did. And then when I got to that age, I got a WWE try. He threw me out there. He knew that I was able to go out there and kind of deliver. So he did. He gave me an invitation to the performance center so I can go have a what's it called, a trial, and yeah, man, and it was great. So I went up there with a lot of good resources, learning off them and learning how to like kind of think about the business, just a mentality. That's usually what it is, man. A lot of people have a really bad mentalities when it comes to wrestling. But Booker makes sure we all have like pretty good mentalities and be able to give back. He's really big on that. Like giving back. You know, that's the whole reason he has the school because he said he wanted to give back to the pro wrestling community. So like being able to learn that off him has helped me out a lot, man. Because like I said earlier, if you're constantly giving back, I feel like a lot of good things will happen to you. So being there with him, that's mostly what I've learned off him. And just listening to him in an interview recently, he talked a lot about that. He talked about how like he doesn't like rely on a lot of the like the stuff that he's done. He doesn't go like, oh yeah, I've been that's my Booker voice by the way.
He
I've
says it
been
all the time. He doesn't want to sit on his laurels.
yeah, man, and that's basically it. He's constantly trying to improve and trying to be better, and having somebody like that to look up to helps me out a lot, man.
Yeah, you don't want to just be known for what you've done. You want to be known for what you're about to do. So
Yeah, man.
All right,
And
so
he's still doing it. He's still doing it. He's still
and
out there.
that's the
He just had a music video. He just had a
he
music
just
video.
he
just a
still
couple months
looks
ago.
fucking insane too, man.
Just a
Like he
couple
looks
months
like
ago,
he could step in the ring on Raw tomorrow.
He
him
can,
and
man.
him and DC and Hawani were beefing like hard on the show and shit, going back and forth. Every week I was watching that shit, waiting for the Booker T segment of it. It was fucking
I saw
hilarious.
that, man. I saw. I want somebody to really piss off Booker, just so I can watch him like beat him up, man. Cause I just want to see it, man. I just want to see it again, because I feel like he can really mess up somebody if they really piss him off. Uh, but yeah, man, just shaking his hand the first time that I met him. He's a huge guy, man. I went to
You're
shake his hand
not
when I met
kidding.
him. Yeah, I went to shake his hand and like his hand like reached all the way to my forearm, and I was like, "What?"
Right.
But yeah, I just imagine him slapping somebody. I was thinking about that. I was like, I just want Booker to slap somebody,
When
just to see it.
when we get off this, I'm gonna send you the picture of me and Booker right after we interviewed him here in Michigan. Because holy hell, dude, his hand is like you wouldn't expect it, right? Like, I mean, I knew the guy was big from TV, but until you're standing next to the dude, you're just like, damn. And then the crazy thing about it is, then you get next to some of these other dudes, and I'm just like, son of a bitch, dude. I already knew I was short, but damn.
Especially in like the older days of wrestling, it seemed like it was almost a requirement to kind of get in the WWE. Is you kind of had to have that.
Totally
size.
was.
That was like a Vince, that was a requirement. You had to be one of them big. There wasn't too many high flyers and stuff like that in WWF back in when it was still WWF.
Yeah, they're all juiced up. They're all big.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so since you're a coach, you're the perfect person to bring this up with. So we've been bringing back one of our old segments, and if I remember correctly, Booker even has commented on this as well. So we have two of them. You already kind of answered the one because we had one with fan etiquette, because we always see dumb stuff with fans. So we've always gotten different funny fan stories, which you've already kind of covered that one. But since you're a coach, you're the perfect person to ask the other one. We've got locker room etiquette ones, and we've gotten everything from Congo Kong telling us to keep your baby mama out the locker room, wash your balls, bring your own wrist tape, bring your own squirt bottle, all kinds of different shit. So if you had one piece of advice that you could tell somebody that was just getting ready to start wrestling, or just let's say they're in their first couple shows, what's some advice that you would give them that would save them out on the road?
The most important one to me, and this actually comes from Booker. It's clean up after yourself, man. A lot of people go in there and they do bring that wrist tape, and then after they're done with it, they throw it on the ground, man. And they're done with that wrist, that they put on, they throw it on the ground as well, man. And with the water bottles, energy drinks and whatnot, you see a bunch of them on the ground after shows. So that's the main one, man. Just being able to like to know that when you go into a locker room, that's just not your house. That's everybody's house. You know, so everybody has to take care of that house, and the way you do that is just starting yourself and starting by making sure you put your trash away when you have to and whatnot. And it's mostly that, man. I hear a lot of stories about like Eddie Guerrero making sure everybody will clean up after themselves after shows and whatnot. And that really kind of stuck to me because I'm like, oh, like it kind of just makes you think that like old school era, of like him and Booker, Benoit, Jericho's and whatnot are really big into that. So it's pretty cool, you know. And I try to kind of do the same thing. You just I try to make sure everybody always cleans up after themselves, and I try to do the same thing. You know, you just what I do as a coach, I try to lead by example, man. I'm not constantly on you telling you, hey, go pick up your water bottle, or hey, go pick up your wrist tape. I don't do that. What I do, I lead by example. You know, I try to make sure every time that I do something, hey, I go throw my wrist tape on the trash and whatnot. And like I said, I try to lead by example and teaching these kids, the way that I do stuff, and whether if they want to do it, if it's not me, somebody else is gonna tell them something.
Hey, that's a good one. Like I said, we've had all kinds of different ones, and you pretty much just summed them up. Well, since we're talking about houses, man, let's talk about the woman who's got everybody trapped in her own damn house, got her own damn TV show.
I like these leeways, man. You got some good leeways.
Hey, bro, it's funny. When Devin's on here, he's always comparing me to Conrad. I should have told him that when I saw him in person. But hey, there's a reason why I try to tell you guys I'm the perfect person to read your stuff on here for a sponsorship. So, watch this. Send it this way. Anyways, let's talk about WandaVision. Self-admittedly, I was not the biggest comic guy growing up. So I needed somebody to kind of fill me in. But our other co-host who you met when we were in Texas, Devin, that was with us, Devin put me on all the download with it, had me watch all 6 episodes in a row. I had to get Disney Plus when I got home just so I could watch it and shit. And I've come to the conclusion that this bitch is delusional.
She's crazy, man. She's having a breakdown.
Hey, man, it's insane. Like, I just at first I was trying to figure it out, but now that they've revealed that Agatha Harkness is the lady next door, it's like, so who's really the one who's driving the ship at this point? That's the question.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I'm the same way. I wasn't like really super big into comics when I was younger and whatnot, but I've been really big into the movies and stuff. And plus, what I do, yeah, I get really like, I get really like I get curious when stuff like comes out. I'm like, oh, let me know more about this actor. Oh, let me know more about this backstory. And I just go on YouTube and I just dig into a rabbit hole, man. I just go into trying to learn everything that I can. But I've done the same thing with Wanda, man. I got all these theories in my head, and I got all these like.
What are some of the theories, man? You can't say you got theories and you can't tell them this ain't the Illuminati, bro.
Okay, so that rabbit they got, what is it, Scratchy?
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. That might be her son. That might be Agnes' son, man. Because in the comics, she has a rabbit or whatever. That's her son, and his name's Scratchy. So I didn't think about it until like they were talking about it and putting it together, and I'm like, oh, that's his son. That's her son, and I feel like she's trying to like take the kids away to somehow kind of bring her son back. In a way that, or she's trying to take away Wanda's powers to bring her son back and to bring back Mephisto, which Mephisto already debuted in the show, but people haven't noticed.
right.
But he was a fly on the wall. He was a little fly on the wall when she went into that room, and when she went into her house, and we saw a fly. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
That's Mephisto right there, bro. And
dude,
yeah, man,
it's crazy because I'm like, it's insane because I'm having to have like my buddy like help fill me in on some of this stuff. But like you talk about my transitions might be tight, but dude, the cliffhangers that these bastards are leaving on the end of these shows, man. Oh my God.
I myself haven't got the chance to check it out, but I hear all kinds of positive shit about it. But just the fact that there's so many people that are actively tuning into a show that's not just like all dumped onto one, streaming service at once and like tuning in every week, excited, posting about it, and speculating like you guys are and stuff about it. It must have something going for it. It really must.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool too, because we kind of lost that. We kind of lost, tuning in next week. When I was young, I will watch those credits and find out next on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, and I
Well,
would like
yep.
go crazy, you know.
Well, shit. Next Saturday morning, I have to be in front of the TV at 9 o'clock in the morning, or else
Dude.
I'm gonna miss it. You know.
Yeah,
Cartoons
man.
were the deal, bro. When Channel 20 had like the Saturday, rundown, bro, and you could sit there, and then every morning before school there was like Rocket Power and the whole deal down that way. Bro, we had the deal. Now I see some of these cartoons these kids got nowadays, man, and I'm like, dang, like
They're
you
a little
poor kids.
yeah, man. But nah, man. I feel like we've been spoiled too much, with all these Netflix shows and like a lot of these cartoon shows that just give you the whole season at like once, And I feel like everybody got spoiled with that. So now they gotta wait, for WandaVision. They're really playing with our emotions, man. And they're making us more invested into it, which I never really thought about, but they're making us very invested into it by just doing that, by giving us to us weekly and making us want more, And that's our art of like any art, making the people want more, It's the same thing with wrestling. You go to the wrestling shows and these guys give you all the moves in the playbook, but that's when people don't want more, But the same thing with the shows, they leave us wanting more, and I think it's pretty cool that in 2021 that they're still able to do that.
A
So
lot of people shit on the fact of letting anticipation build and stuff like that. Like you were saying, everybody wants things now. But there's something that can't be matched to something that you have to wait. If you have a match that you've just been waiting to see, like the DC Stipe rematch that happened like a year and a half ago at this point. I was waiting like hell for that fight forever, but the anticipation kept building and building. It's not like I was all of a sudden less excited to see it. If anything, I was more excited. And you don't see that as much even in pro wrestling and MMA and just the world in general. Everything's so, what can you do for me now?
that's because fans have gotten spoiled, bro. They don't got the attention span anymore. They all say they want long-term storylines, but then, although to be fair, a lot of the ones we saw with Raw lately haven't exactly been that great. But I'm just saying. But there's plenty of good stuff like what you've got going down with MLW, man. I mean, what are your thoughts on 2021 for you in MLW at this point? Because MLW, I feel like every time you turn around, there's another name that's come around. Like you've got everything from, I feel like you guys have got one of the most athletic big men in the game as your champion with Jacob Fatu.
Fatu, yeah,
my
man, boy.
I mean, that guy's insane. If you guys haven't checked him out, he's insane. But you guys have got from even who you had in your former group mate in Hammerstone. I mean, you guys have got, a wide array of who you got all the way down to low key, who's, a veteran of the game like that. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on all that? And even having a guy that, from your past with Conan in there.
I really enjoy MLW because I don't know how to like say this the nice way, but we're not gonna mess around, man. We're sports based, and like which a lot of other companies they got people teleporting and stuff and and stuff like that. No, we're out here trying to fight, man. We're giving you a fight. We're showing you what Fatu can do, man. That guy goes crazy, man. He like I don't know what he did last time. But like I forgot what it was, but I was like, man, this guy is so intense, and I just love it, I just because you don't really see that as much now. You see a lot of this stuff that's happening, people teleporting, and I don't know. As soon as I see somebody teleport on a wrestling show, I'm just like out. I'm just like
So I take it you're not a fan of the broken mat stuff, then, huh?
I like that. It's pretty. I feel like
if it's done right.
Yes, not that I hate it, but like if it's too much of it, I don't know. I like wrestling, not all this teleportation, But to me, that's what MLW gives us. It gives us like a sports-based pro wrestling program, and that's why I really enjoy it because like you say, you got Loki, you got Filthy Tom Lawler, you got Fatu, you got Alexander Hammerstone. All these guys, you can put them up against anybody out there in the pro wrestling business. And these guys can go, man. These guys are not gonna teleport. These guys are just gonna beat your ass, man. And I love it. I love it because I'm part of that. I'm part of that team now.
I was gonna
That's gonna
say,
whoop your
don't
ass.
forget, man. There's a reason
Yeah,
they
man.
call you Intocable, man. I've
Of
done my research, bro.
of course, man. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm very happy to be part of that roster. That's such a legitimate roster that's gonna give us that, that type of wrestling that somebody like me that really appreciates. But yeah, man. The main thing that I'm looking for in the MLW is getting some gold, man. We already talked about it, but I'm all about the gold, man. If it's not gold, if it's not a mamacita, I don't want it. I don't want it at all. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for the most in MLW. Try to go in there. Win some gold. Win some championships. And mostly just trying to get better, man. Like there's a lot of good guys there, and I feel like those guys can only make me better. I'm very big on like throwing myself in situations that I'm not comfortable in to make myself better. And that's the way that I see MLW. I see a lot of guys that are better than me, but I feel like I can keep up with them. And the way that I'm gonna keep up to them is just learning off out of my environment and learning off them. And basically come up on top and win some championships.
Hey, man, I think that pretty much sums it up, man. Like I said, you need to be checking out MLW on YouTube. They come out every Wednesday. Like I said, check out the new episode before you watch Dynamite and all that good stuff. NXT, they're right down there on the Wednesday night lineup. Well, before we let you get out of here, man, throw your social media out. Let everybody know where they can find you one more time. And like I said, we appreciate the time, man. We definitely have to have you come back. And the next time in Texas, we'll definitely have to link up.
I appreciate you guys, man, and I appreciate you letting me talk a little bit about WandaVision. That's where you had me. I'm like, oh, I get to talk about WandaVision. I'm like, hell yeah.
God damn, now I know how to get people on the show. We got to talk about WandaVision. But
yeah, man, you guys can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at TLHT. If you forget, just think about the Latin heartthrob. That's how I remember it. But
hey,
yeah,
I'm just
man.
gonna say that Twitter handle is hard body, bro. I'm just saying. But make sure you check us out this Thursday, 9 p.m. as we will be joined by Mecha Wolf. Make sure you guys are here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, that comment button. And until next time, and in the in-between time, peace.